In this segment, I share with you a little bit about the present moment pivot so that you can begin in advance of our first meeting to scout out your present moment pivot point and get to know it. We'll be learning a variety of mindfulness practices and ways of cultivating greater mindful awareness. And one of the means of doing so that I think you'll find very helpful, I like to call the present moment pivot. So what I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about the present moment pivot and suggest something that you sort through and figure out between now and when we meet so that we're able to begin to implement the present moment pivot and the many variations that we will explore across the time that we're together. So present moment pivot refers rather simply to that shift that we can make from being lost in thought, in automatic pilot mode, to being more intentional and aware and attentive to our present moment experience. The ways that we make that shift are many, and they can happen, as they oftentimes do, just naturally and spontaneously, and we can train so that they happen more often and that we're able to more reliably be in a present moment centered state as opposed to a lost in thought state. So this is a simple exercise that draws upon the notion of a present moment pivot that asks you now in advance to identify what you would have for yourself as your present moment pivot point. So let me explain. Each day, or as many as you remember, when you leave home, and then again when you return home, there'll be a point, that present moment pivot point, where you will pause. For now, I'm going to recommend or suggest that you do so for just the splittest of a second. And that pause involves something like this. You're walking to or from home, you get to your present moment pivot point, you stop, and then you keep going. It's more an intentional gesture than it is one that takes any amount of time. And between now and when we get together, the more you do this, the more natural it will be to come to a stop and to remember and to not overlook and miss it. Because that will be helpful, because what we then begin to do in the moment of having paused at our present moment pivot point, that will vary, and we will mix that up in very interesting and useful ways over the course of this semester. But for now, here's the instruction. Identify your present moment pivot point and just get in the habit when you are upon it to stop and then to continue on. All right, I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. Wishing you all the best.